one of my favourite subjects on how to develop healthy relationships. I didn't know how once, years ago, I used to react all the time. No, not all the time. I used to react when somebody would just um, say something, certain times say and do certain things, and it was like a sword that would pierce my heart, and then I would react. Or what I would do is I would suppress it. So reacting and suppressing are two things I learned I had to stop doing, but I didn't even know I was doing them in the first place. I was so unaware. So awareness is one of the keys here. Awareness of how you're being in the circumstances, in the relationship. And we're not talking about, please be clear, we're not talking about physical abuse, sexual abuse, really hard, heavy abuse. We're talking about generally when people are rude to you or they upset you and whatever else. All the other types of abuse, I recommend you go to a professional counsellor and get advice and deal with it appropriately to respect yourself. So because that needs ongoing counselling to know how to deal with that. But something of what we may say today may help you anyway. So in my case, I remember years ago, I had to finally stop, and I had to take, and this is another key, is I had to take responsibility for how I felt as a result of what someone said or someone didn't say or someone else didn't do. I was also waiting for people to change their ways. I was waiting for them to listen to me. And I think that's one of the keys I'll keep saying all the way through this sharing, that listening is really the link to developing healthy relationships. Unconditional listening, that is. You don't have to like what people say. You can agree to disagree, but it was the listening. And what I was aching for all those years back was to have someone to listen to me, because I didn't know why all these emotions were coming up. I didn't know how to fix it. That's why I've spent my life sharing what I've shared and worked with hundreds of people now after I've had many, many breakthroughs. And it's totally changed my relationships. So I want to say, just flipping from where I was to where I am now, most of what I used to react to, I now can see what's coming. I can see where it's coming from, and I've got that awareness. And in that moment, I can sense, is that mine or someone else's? So that's all about, come from years and years of making a decision to be still and have a relationship with the one who's within me, because there was no one else that really seemed to be able to help me. I couldn't even help myself. So I'd sit with all the feelings and emotions, and I learned a great deal over the years, and also through the years of working with people, facilitating them. So the other day, I had somebody scream down the phone at me unexpectedly. I went into shock. And it doesn't matter what it was about, and it doesn't matter who it was. It matters about my experience. And once upon a time, I would have just hung up on them. I would have been mortally offended, and I wouldn't have wanted to see them for some time. Anyone relate to that? And there's a time when we need to do that from screening people. We do need to stand back until they calm down. Angry people. No point in even communicating with them. But what you can say to them, well, except when they're screaming, is you can say to them, I'm really happy to hear how you feel about what I've done or not done. So long as you don't judge, condemn, there's some guidelines, and I don't want to do the same to you. That's the guideline. I want to listen to you, but let's listen to each other without judgment, condemnation, control, etc. So with this screaming person, I was aware of what was going on. There's a real crisis going on in her life at the moment. And I hung up. I didn't actually hang up. I listened, and I was very aware of stepping back into the presence of God. And she calmed down. And then she said to me, so much was going wrong in her life, so many crises. And so she was projecting on me something she thought that I had done wrong. And I accept that maybe I did. I don't think I did, but it doesn't matter. I didn't get into the I did, you didn't, and he's wrong and you're wrong and I'm not. That goes nowhere. I just accepted that she was upset, as was said before by Trish. I just accepted I can't change her. I accepted that I needed to, at the end of the conversation, hear that this is a troubled lady and that I could pray for her. I call her Jill. And so I did. I stepped back and Jill finally hung up and I stepped back and I thought, whoa, first of all, I needed to process my own feelings because although I wasn't hurt or offended, I was saddened by the manner in which she spoke to me under the circumstances. And so I dealt with the feelings and thoughts and I sat on it for a while and I asked wisdom to show me what else I felt. And I wanted to bring it all to him. And I asked for perspective. And you know what I got? Do you know what I got? And this has totally diffused any sense of judgment. This turned me to compassion. 2 days, it took 2 days, but I just sat on it all, not ruminating on it. Once at a time, I would fester on it. It would become like a ball of fire and I would react. So this is me learning how to step back, not react, but learning how to deal with my feelings and also know how to respond if I needed to respond. So I went straight to the divine counselor, who's always within us, who's always willing to listen to us, if we only sit down. And that's the key out of this whole talk that I didn't get. There's so many people that don't know how to hear you, don't know how to listen to you. You don't even know how to listen to yourself, perhaps. But the divine counsel, if you just sit still for 5 minutes and come with your heart and unload it and express it, he wants to have a healthy, honest, open relationship with you. But this is the thing that I discovered 2 days later. I was shown in the presence of love a memory many years ago when I used to react, because I used to suppress all my feelings. And then when something was triggered off, it would often be, the honey on the cornflakes, I call it. It would just the tiniest little bit and it would just blow. I would blow, very rarely. But when I did, it just would come out, just like Jill. So I was shown and reminded of the time that I did exactly the same to someone else. And get this, because I didn't react in the situation, and I don't mind, take it in your circumstances. Maybe the people are not screaming at you, maybe they're manipulating and controlling you, maybe they're not listening to you, maybe whatever it is that they're not doing that you would like them to do, or the way they're being. You can always go back to yourself, back to the counsellor. So years ago when I did that, it was destructive. It divides and it separates. And it took days for that person to want to speak to me. It made me step back from this person. But that person, Jill, rang me yesterday and said she was with somebody that day. And guess what? She got totally and utterly screamed at. So what I'm saying is, as you do to others, so will it be done to you. I'd forgotten I'd done it, but fortunately I had enough presence to go back and deal with my own feelings and forgive her. But I think she was in shock. I'm not sure how she processes that. She just says, I'm a big girl. But I'm not sure whether she represses it because she's always fine. And I know she's not always fine. So I pray for Jill. So what I'm saying is whatever you're doing or not doing, you will attract. It will literally be like a magnet. And what I find in relationships, and this is one of the biggest keys of all, most people, and I'm saying from what I have seen over the years, and I'm not blaming, judging, it's an observance, is like me, don't know how to take responsibility for their feelings. They don't even know how they're feeling. I didn't know how I was feeling. All I knew is I was a mess. So I started with the mess, coming aside and sitting with the mess. And then, just like the dog whisperer, I don't know whether any of you know Cesar Millan. I've listened to all of his tapes, and he has the most wonderful gift of being centered and calm. He doesn't react to the dogs when he's training them. He doesn't react to the dogs that are emotionally disturbed. And he's wonderfully effective. Wonderfully effective. Cesar Millan. You can get his videos. Just look at that and look at the principles. Imagine if you became a Cesar Millan in your life, not reacting, taking responsibility of your feelings and repeating these keys and going to the divine, wonderful counselor and unloading it. I don't care if you write, draw, if you play music, get it up and get it out and wait until you gain perspective, as I did in this one story, because I've got lots going on in my life at the moment, but I know in these eruptions that are going on around me that they're being allowed. It all depends on how I react or respond. What do you do? Do you react to things? I used to react by being the saviour. Anyone ever taken on a role of being a saviour? It's got a hair in my eye. The saviour role, you get in the middle and you're the fixer. Or else, if that doesn't work and everyone, I remember I used to be the saviour and I'd get in the middle and I'd get shot at. Never get in the middle. Wait until the individual comes to you and listen. Listen, learn, and love. Listen, learn. What did I learn from that? How would you have me see that? And then with the love that's beyond all love, love them or commit them to mercy and love. Do not hold on to them because they will contaminate you. They'll destroy you and your relationships, not now, but also relationships in the future. So I've had, and I need to just say this, it's coming to me now, maybe some people that are listening, I've had lots of facilitating sessions, very productive and very resolving with many people who have had all those really heavy stuff going on in their life as children or growing up through teachers, parents, brothers, sisters, adult figures. You know, what I've learned is whether it's really heavy like that, whether it's a screaming Jill, whether it's somebody who's rude and arrogant, it doesn't matter. Once you know the principles, and we've got the principles in this on a course called agapeencounter.org/course/. And in there are 3 talks on all of the emotions on your heart, on your mind, and on the blockages, and how do we come to a place, how to come into this centeredness. It's on our website under course. You can access it anytime, and there are healing meditations attached to it. So we're using these tools of YouTube and these little mini seminars to just lay little seeds down that you can pick up. And you can choose to open them up and allow the loving sense of the one who's within you to water them, to show you how they can grow and what a difference they can make to your relationships. The booklet that I've got on developing healthy relationships, and it's also in my book, Peace, Presence and Power, is full of information, and there's no way I'm going to sit here and just read it out. It's as boring as you know what, and you're just going to lose it. So I just want to develop respect. I just want to speak about that before I come to a close, because there's so many things I could say, but there's just developing. How do you develop respect? And it was mentioned, someone asked me a question today, or she said that she was struggling with a relationship. And it doesn't matter whether it's children, teenagers, or adults. What do you do when you're struggling with a relationship? First principle, you take responsibility for your own feelings. Come aside, okay, what would you like to do to them? And in fact, you'll have a moment in the moment with that healing meditation where you'll be able to deal with all of your feelings, because you're human. You have feelings. I hear a lot of people say, I want to murder them. I want to hate them. I just could wring their neck. That all needs to come up and out and expressed in a way that is non-harmful in the presence of unconditional love. Then you will gain perspective. Then you will gain perspective. So in my case, I had to wait 2 years to develop respectful relationships with my teenage children. 2 years. Because they would come to me, and I'm repeating what I've said to many people before. They would come to me and tell me things, and I'd say to them, this is the question. You ask them the question first, because there is no point in sharing, talking, saying a thing. Would you like me to say anything? Did you hear me? When you listen to them, would you like me to say anything? And if they say no, there's nothing you can do, well, you can do what I did, pass them over to the mercy of love and wisdom and yourself, and say, just grant me the grace to love them just where they're at until they learn. Children have got to learn. Adults have got to learn. They've got to fall over. We have to allow people to suffer the consequences of their actions, but we pray for them. And the other thing is, after 2 years, they came back and said, Mum, da 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 da. And then I said, do you want my opinion, or would you again just like me to listen? No, I would like you to help me, because I had developed what was called respect. I had listened to them first. I had not reacted. I had not done what I wanted to do. I mean, I would go away in another room and go, I want to say so much. I want to point them in the right direction, I think. And that can be to do with a spouse, children, it can be whatever. But is there any point when you're like this, you're wanting? Now, that's the other thing I want to say to you. When you want something, you must let it go. When you want, I used to want my husband to finish work so that we would have time together. And then I wanted, a place with a hammock. I ended up with a place with 3 hammocks. Does it make any difference? Not really. All the wanting and needing for people to change, as Trish shared, really means that you feel you are lacking something in that relationship. If you go back, and this is the secret, if you go back to the source of the one who created you all your relationships, all the people in the world, and you go back with your heart and your mind there, and you come to a place of peace, and you come to a place of gaining perspective of that other person. People have said to me, not once, over and over and over again, where they were so confused, lost, angry, resentful, hateful, feeling like they were invisible, not good enough, useless, it'll never change. All of those beliefs always relate to the emotions, trigger off the emotions, start the emotions going. Okay, so all of those things need to come up, need to come out, and then we need to just listen. Key word is listening to the truth. They said to me, when they look back, they came into a place of presence. Usually it's light or presence for most people. And I say, so how do you feel in that presence now? Peaceful, calm, secure. Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer, peaceful, calm, centered. Nothing externally has happened. I'm going to repeat this forever until I die. Nothing externally, and no one's changed. They're at peace now. And when they look back at the person and the situation, they see it for what it is, because they've come to such a place of peace, and they've put first in their lives and listened to first, as Andrew said, the truth giver, the one who is the truth giver, who is the source of peace, who is utter peace, who is powerful, who can do stuff that we have no idea. I've got everything I wanted in the end, by the way, but it's all very nice. It comes and it goes. But there's nothing like coming into that place of security and peace, and you begin living out of that and responding, not reacting, responding from that place of utter peace and presence. If you can't, you need to listen to yourself, and then others might listen to you. So we're going to do a three-way perspective meditation in a moment. In that three-way perspective meditation, which is accessible on its own, so that you might just want to go back to that, not listen to the talk again. You can go back to that anytime you get stuck in relationships where you get confused, angry, resentful, frustrated. Anyone here feel frustration? And frustration, always the belief is, I want them to change. I want. When you want, please listen. When you want, it means that you think you don't have. What you want from them is to change. So then you would be at peace. Then you would feel comfortable. Then everything would flow. Everything would be peaceful. What most people want when I ask them. So if you got what you wanted, what would you feel? Peaceful. Who's the author of peace? You know who he is. He's in you. And he's saying, hey, here, I'm here. Come back here first. Let me fill you up. Love me first, because I am the source of your peace, of love, not your children, not the people you work for, not the others. They're going to drive you nuts. Perfect. They'll drive you back to the source of peace again, until you need to have a hug and a cuddle and sit with it long enough and sit with yourself until peace just literally begins to pervade your whole being, and it doesn't matter anymore. That person, that situation, you accept them in their imperfection, and it no longer triggers you off. I have to say that has to be the secret of all secrets. People know this. First commandment is there because it's there to protect us. Love me first. Put me first, because I've got the source of all that you need and want, and then these things can be added to you. And when you can allow yourself then to be little children, because you can't come into the kingdom unless you become like children. You can be angry, but you know not to stuff up. You know where to go. Don't give the devil a foothold. You actually become overcomers, because you're able to stand back, as I was able to with Jill, with the screaming episode down the phone, where I would normally have been. Now, just practically, normally I would have reacted. And I was able to respond, and I'm just so grateful. And our relationship hasn't divided. Our relationship is still okay, and I don't have any hurt feelings towards her. I see her for what she is. I feel compassion, and that's what most of the people that come for an encounter, they end up with compassion, and the frustration all goes, the anger all disappears, even if it's been really bad abuse. The space that's filled up in your head and your mind and your heart is so powerful from your creator. It fills that space and heals your wounds. And memory's still there, but the pain dissolves. Okay, so I'm going to finish there, but if you'd like more information, please you can go online later on, and you can get Peace, Presence, Power. And you can get the other one. Just go on our website, Develop Healthy Relationships. That's the booklet. That's actually inside the book anyway. And it's got key tips. But please, if ever you decide to get the book, you're meant to dip into it, because it's 20 odd years of experience, and you dip into the area you need. They're reminders of what you can do rather than staying stuck. And I want to say thank you for listening. Wouldn't it be nice if you have no more wanting, needing, and therefore you don't become controlling, demanding, confused, etc.? Wouldn't it be nice if you go back to the source? And there's so many things going on in my life at the moment, and I can't change those people. The only person I can change is myself. And the one who can really bring grace upon them is the one who created them. I pass them over. Will you do the same for those who you can't change and those who you want to help, so that your relationships may never be perfect, but isn't that an opportunity for unconditional love to give you perspective, to love them in their learning. So you listen, learn, and love with unconditional love's grace. When you're weak, then I am strong. So I'm going to finish off with, I love this in James 4:1. And whenever you face trials of any kind, I consider it nothing but joy. Now, please don't laugh. I used to laugh and say, you're joking. Because in the testing of your faith produces endurance. This is endurance. And that endurance have its full effect. So you, all of you, become complete, peaceful, secure, safe, despite the world lacking nothing. Thank you for listening. And please take, just before I go, what's the one thing that stands out in your mind that you can apply to your relationship? Otherwise, it's useless. You're listening. What is the one thing, wonderful counselor, show everyone here the one thing that you want them to listen to? And the one thing with your grace, you're asking for them to apply to their lives. Listen. Now, whatever that one thing is, it's between you and your Creator who lives within you, who gives you breath and love every day, has everything that you lack. You can just ask for it to be released through you, moment by moment, day by day. Do not go into the future. Do not go into the past without Him now. And do everything from love. Thank you for listening to Everything for Love First and Out of Love.